What's up? I'm Jacob Litzo, your Elixir mentor. Today we are going to use JavaScript Keydown event listeners to allow tabbing in our Gist input text area. So let's spin up our project real quick to demonstrate how it's currently working. So first, let's go ahead and make sure our Postgres container is running. Mine is, so if yours isn't, just run it. And then let's go ahead and open up our terminal and cd into our project. Mine is in Documents, Development, Elixir Mentor, and then Elixir Gist. Let's just do mix space phx.server. Okay, and now let's go ahead and go to our local host in our browser, port 4000. So currently, when we're down here, entering all of our stuff, tab takes us to the next field. And so we're here. And now if I hit tab from this input, it takes us down to the button. And you see the highlight here, right? We want to make that tab actually tab over because we're writing code snippets potentially. So let's go ahead and jump right into our project. So open up our project and let's go ahead and expand our assets, our JS directory, and let's open up our app.js. And now, similar to our event listeners for input and scroll, we can make one for key down. So let's just go underneath these. We'll go above our handle event since we are adding another event listener here. And we're associating it to this element. So it's this dot element. And then we're doing add event listener and then opening parentheses. And then the event we're listening for is called key down, no space. And then closing parentheses and then comma. And we are passing in an argument here, which is, we'll just call it E, and then close those parentheses, and then equal, greater than, opening and closing curly braces. And now inside this listener, we do have a little more to do here since the key down event will trigger with any key down event, right? So we have to check for the tab key specifically. And then if it's the tab key, we need to do something. So let's go ahead and we want to do an if statement. So we can do if, and then, so the parameter passed in, we can do e.key, and that's going to get us the key that was pressed. And we want to make sure that it's equal to tab with a capital T. And so there is a known list of keys, and you can look them up. Just Google key down events, and like enter is enter. Page down is page down, control. You can find them all and you can do whatever you need. So you get the point. Whatever your goal is, you can listen for that specific key. And then let's go ahead and do opening and closing curly braces for this event. And we need to add e.prevent default, which this prevents the default behavior of the tab key. So as you saw, was it changed the focus to the next element on the page. So we don't want it to do that. But now, in order to add tabs to our Gist text area, we need to get the current cursor position. We need to know the beginning of the cursor and the end of the cursor. So essentially like the left side of where it's flashing and the right side position, okay? And we can store these in two different variables. We'll call the first one start, and we can do this dot element dot selection start. All right. I meant to say start equals. Enjoying the video? Show some love with a like and hit subscribe to stay updated. To support me and keep the content free, click join for memberships or pick up a course at elixirmentor.com and get free access to my private community. Let's jump back in. All right, and that gets the start of our cursor. And then we can do an end. So end equals this dot element dot selection end. And now we need to, typo. selection. And now we need to replace the current value of our gist text area by inserting a tab character at the current position of the cursor. So we can say this dot element dot value, and we want to set this equal to our current, so this dot element dot value dot substring, and we want the substring, so everything before the cursor, because obviously we could have, more text before we hit tab, right? So from position 0 to our start position, so the start position of the cursor, and then when tab is hit, we want to add the tab sequence, which is \t. All right, and then we want to add the end position of the substring, which is where the end of the cursor was, that value. So if we say this dot element dot value dot substring, and then we pass in, we're getting the position of the whole gist from the end location of the cursor. So basically, if nothing was to the right, it would be a blank string. But if we're tabbing in the middle of a big code snippet, it will add, that end to the end of our new tab, if that makes sense. So we're adding it in between two potential values. Okay, so once we insert our tab, we need to update the cursor position. And we'll do that by calling this dot element dot selection start. And we're going to set this equal to this dot element dot selection end. And this is going to equal our start plus 1. And what this does is this sets the cursor to the right of the inserted tab character we just added. And that's all we need to do to support tabbing in our text area. So let's save this. And now if we go and test this out, if we go back to our browser, if we go down here and let's say def this function, and then we can do a do and then in here, I want to tab over. Wow, we just tabbed. So that's pretty cool. And then so tab, and then we can tab in the middle, and that's pretty sweet. There we go. Now instead of focusing on the next element, we can tab over our code. This is pretty sweet. This Keydown event listener allows for custom behavior when the tab key is pressed. While just text area is in focus, it inserts tab characters into the text at the cursor's position, which can be very useful for code or text editing to maintain text indentation. I'm sure you are thinking about all the Keydown events you could customize on this project now, which is pretty cool. If you add any more that are super useful, please share them with me because I'd love to hear what you did. As always, if you need help or want to check out the solutions, check out that GitHub link in the description. Join my Discord server, Elixir Mentor, if you have questions or want to hang out and chat. That link is in the description as well. If you want to learn how to build scalable, production-ready, full-stack, and REST API solutions, hit that subscribe button now. I'm Jacob Litzo, your Elixir Mentor. See you in the next video.